Hello everybody and welcome to another duo-casted game spawning in. On the east side of the map we have SM4RT-AsS playing as Loki.
And on the west side of the map we have Galorys, who is playing as Oranos, and he is currently ranked 141 on the ladder.
Alright, I'm chuckling a little bit because we've got two things that are happening here. One, we've done a lot of re-records because Jay keeps confusing east with west, but he got that right this time, and then we've also got Oranos over here, not Oranis. So I'm just giving Jay a little shit here. I'm giving Jay a little shit, but we've got a fun matchup here. This is a top 300 players matchup, so we're going a little bit away from our top 25, getting a bit lower on the elo, but still quite high. Both these guys 1400 and above on the ladder, so we should have a really competitive matchup here still, and it should be an interesting one. We actually haven't casted a single Loki game yet. He's kind of fallen off on popularity, so I'm interested to see how this plays out. And just looking at the build order, we've already got a dwarf and a villager out on gold, and what that tells me is that we're going to be looking for a lot of dwarfs in the archaic age because we have that gathering gold. Yeah, so we've already got the two coming out. I suspect he's probably going to go for more than two dwarfs here, just based on the fact he's trying to get some extra gold early on. And we do see the Berserk scouting out. So outside of that, pretty standard build order here. We've got two on wood, we've got a couple extra on gold, and then it looks like all the rest of the gatherers are going out to food, and I'm sure he's going to put the rest of the dwarfs out onto gold. So pretty standard stuff there. Did find his opponent's base. Let's take a look at Galorys, if we're saying that right. And it looks like one gold, one wood. That's standard for Atlanteans from what we've seen so far, and 4 on food. So pretty standard build order. I don't think anything crazy to call out here so far. What do you think, Jay?
Definitely, I think everything's going pretty standard, and while we have the time, I'd like to note out something interesting. Is Smart is one of the most seasoned Loki players on the ladder, with boasting over 177 games on Loki.
Wow.
With his next closest god being at only 19, so he is an authority on Loki. And on the vice versa, we see Galorys, who's primarily playing a lot of Greek gods, stepping in to Oranos here, and he's still seasoned with it, but stepping a little bit more out of his comfort zone than we see Smart.
Yeah, I like that. That's really good context. I didn't know that. So I guess you looked up the players. That's great. I just looked at their rank on the ladder, but thank you for doing that to get some context to these players. So we'll see if there's any sort of struggle as far as the build order. And we actually do see already here a stall in production on Oranos. Yeah, we had a bit of time there, but he is going up for Oceanus, so I guess that's where the stall was he was just about to have enough food. So pretty early age up time there. Oceanus already coming out. And we do see on the side of Smart getting pretty close to that 400 food himself. Do we see a temple up, though? Yep, temple coming up towards the middle of the map, so I imagine we're going to see some early aggression here from our low-key player.
Definitely. I think that this is a pretty standard way to play. It is good to see that he's choosing to make it more offensive than defensive, and that is a pretty decent chunk of dwarves. Is that standard for the way we play most of the days here?
Not at all. That's why I zoomed in there. 5 dwarfs is about the most that we see in the archaic age from the Norse, unless you're playing Thor, of course, in which case you'll probably see a lot more dwarfs than that, but usually we see 2 to 3 in the archaic age, so a lot more dwarfs out, and that's why we had that gatherer out on gold. So we're gonna have to trust that Smart knows what he's doing here, because this is our low-key player, this is our low-key specialist, and we do see him going up through Heimdall, so getting the Anirhar out early. It looks like we're gonna be getting some early pressure. I guess it's the Anirhar. It used to be the Anirhar, but they changed the name, so I forget exactly what the name is. We'll have to see when he ages up. Did find the Sky Passage out.
We do see a defensive Sky Passage, which is something that we see a lot of these Atlantean players choosing to do. Unfortunately, it was caught out, so those villagers, while they do have safety, could be susceptible to some raids early on. So we'll keep an eye out to see where those initial attacks come from Smart.
Yeah, and we do see the early spy as well. But the challenge here is I don't know that we're going to be getting a lot of value out of Spy, because even if he comes over here, they could just hop in that Sky Passage and get back to safety. Relic's getting picked up. That was the Kopesh Sword, is that right? Yep, Kopesh of Horus, so bonus hero damage versus Myth units. Let's do a quick Relic review. We're already kind of into the action, but we can kind of see what else is out on the map. Scarab Pendant we got out here. We've got Antigear Sword, so heroes regenerate hit points. Wow, has he spotted this out yet? Because that's going to be huge for him. Yeah, he's got to hope that he finds that out sometime soon, because that is a huge relic for Loki. I don't think there's another relic that you would want outside of that. And then the last one here, he's already picked up. We just got a bit of a bug on the UI. And where is our final relic? Oh, it's all the way in the north. Odin's Wand, so Temple Improvement's cheaper. Really a lot of good low-key relics that we have here.
Yeah, and something to note this early point on is Smart is actually massing units quite efficiently early on. They are going to be caught out in vision with the Calidria flying over to take a look, but I don't really see too many units coming up on Glory's side here.
Yeah.
Gallery's side, sorry. So
Yeah.
I wonder how what he's going to do about this early aggression that might happen here soon.
Yeah, we do see Bite of the Shark coming through, which is, an upgrade for our Murmillo, which are already fantastic units. One of the best infantry units in the game. And Bite of the Shark makes them even stronger. So we do see this raid coming out. We'll see how quickly the Galorys is able to react to this, but you got to think he's just going to hop in the Sky Passage right away, and none of these citizens should go down, but we'll see what happens. Yep, right away. Nothing they can do, so maybe he starts hitting, going to start whacking the Sky Passage, but very nice. We'll see if they just pop right back out on berries. So that's the beauty of Oranos. That's the strength there, those Sky Passages, really safe ability to gather resources out on the map. And at this point, the Sky Passage is going to go down, but since you get that free one for Oranos, not a lot lost for Galorys.
Yeah, I think any player would rather choose to lose a Sky Passage in a little tiny few seconds of idle time compared to having those units go all the way up there to knock it out on the other side of the map when they could be focusing on raids directly in an unsafe place in the base. So very effective use by Galorys. I think it was a great decision, and we'll see what Smart comes up with to be able to counter with these units that are on the map.
Yeah, sounds good. So let's take a look at Galorys here. We did see the Bite of the Shark. I don't know that we've seen any Murmillo actually come out. Yeah, okay, we do have some here. I just missed them. So we've got a decent Murmillo army. I think Murmillo are actually going to hold up quite well against this army here. I don't think that we're going to see a ton of damage. Oh, but that's a lot of raiding cav, actually. That's a pretty big army coming out of Smart here.
Yeah, it looks like these units are positioning around the base to see what is going on, and unfortunately, as we've seen too many times, we do not have a watchtower upgrade against these Norse players. That is something that I always recommend, because these guys are always going to be raiding aggressively. These guys are going directly into the sentry tower, and let's see if it's going to be able to drop. The Murmillos are positioning themselves to counter, and these raiding cavalry just back off.
There's that Calidria slow, very powerful slow. And I gotta say, this is maybe the one situation where I don't think the tower upgrades are necessary, because what we have is we have Undermine. So even if you get those tower upgrades, they're not going to be doing much. So I think that's probably why we see Galorys opting out of that upgrade, knowing that those towers aren't actually going to defend him, because Undermine very easily can take out two.
Very fair point. That is something to note.
Yeah, let's see. Has Smart found that? He still hasn't found that relic. He's gonna regret that when he sees the replay. And we do have a bit of engage, it looks like.
And these units have been upgraded to heroes, so they're going to do additional damage. We see 1, 2, 3, and the shockwave comes out, displacing its entire army. And these raiding cavalry are just getting massacred right now. These are doing massive damage.
He's cleaning up.
Cleaning up, he's lost at least 6 units at this moment, around 6, but the rest of them are low, and without a healing spring, these units are going to be weakened for the next engagement.
Yeah, no ability to heal, no Valkyrie out, no healing springs, and we got another engagement coming in.
They come directly back in, but it looks like they're pulling out.
Yeah, it just picks up the one Murmillo, not a lot, and the Calidria should be able to heal up the rest of this mass very easily. And I gotta say, Spy actually getting a pretty good amount of value here, being able to see the exact army he's up against. My biggest confusion is why we don't have more throwing axemen at this point, because the opponent's army is strictly infantry. That's all they have. So I think at this point you need to shift more onto wood, more onto gold. Oh, I'm looking at the wrong civ here. More onto wood, more onto gold, and just keep pumping out throwing axemen, because you're gonna slaughter this army if that's what your army is primarily made of.
Yeah, and I have to wonder, is it really that worth it to be able to invest this many resources into these Hero Hussar units as the Norse player, considering that you're not seeing any effective myth units coming out on the map, with the Calidria being the only myth unit available right now for Galorys? I just have to think that those resources could have been contributed towards more throwing axemen early on.
Yeah, potentially more throwing axemen. I mean, obviously you do have the bonuses as Loki with your Hussar, and you do have that sort of gamba chance of spawning a myth unit very early on into the game, which can make a huge difference in a fight. And I think that's why we saw the hero Murmillo coming out, is just in case we have extra myth units pop up, he's in a position to take care of those. But when we look at god powers, Archaic Age god powers cast, but still no Undermine, still no Carnivoria. We saw a lot of great Carnivoria usages inside of an earlier cast, so I'm curious to see how that comes out. But I think I'd be a little worried if I'm Galorys here. You can kind of see almost completely out of food inside of his base. The sky passage was denied, and let's just take a look at his perspective here. Does he see any other food attainable on the map? It doesn't look like it. There's no other food sources here. He's going to the sky passage back up top. Okay, so we got another sky passage built, but he's ready. Smart is ready for this one, denying the food, and this is going to be really difficult for Galorys. How does he get more army out when he's almost completely out of food here? Just a couple goats left.
You can see already he's transitioning a lot of his villages directly onto wood to start that farm transition, because he is going to be lacking in food unless he can get these farms up right away. Unfortunately, he's lost control of the middle portion of the map against the Norse player, which is something you never want to do against the Norse. So he's going to have his movements pretty much trapped early on.
Yeah, and look at it, risking for the Gazelle. He knows he needs food, especially since he went Oceanus, and all he has is the Caladria. No combat power that you can use for myth units, so you just need food. But we do see Aja coming through, Nord coming through right now. We also do have Hyperion coming through pretty soon, so this is the danger zone right now. You've got about 30 seconds where your opponent has aged up to the heroic. They do have the Walking Woods. I'm kind of surprised we don't see a timing attack based on that. This would be a great time to attack, drop the Walking Woods, and I think you could do a lot of damage to this base. Where is Smart's army? What are they doing? Just scouting out, it looks like.
Just scouting. I mean, on the bright side, maybe he's going to be able to finally pick up that relic if he gets his troops down that far.
He does find it. Big one. That's a huge relic with all these Hersers, so really nice that he found it. I expect that he's going to be sending a Herser down there very early. Yep. Oh, maybe not. I thought that one was going down, but he's keeping them at home for now.
I thought it was big enough to where he was sending 5 Hersers to go pick it up, because that would have been worth it than positioning this middle base for him.
Yeah, I am surprised he's not going for it. I mean, the combat value from that for how many Herser do we have in this armor? 7? Only 7. That's not a ton, but still pretty good power. Gonna look for the hunt here, but I gotta think that yep. Really, I mean, I'm impressed from Galorys how quickly he's able to pull those villagers every single time. But Sky Passage going down, and we're back to where we started. No food. And he just got 2 farms.
He could just as easily go to the northern sky passage, which has not been touched, but we do see the raiding cavalry positioning to go check that. So, you know, we're going to see if he can effectively block it by positioning his army to the north to avoid those raiding cavalry directly getting on there. But at max, I don't see him getting more than 100, 200 food out of here before that decay is over.
Yeah, it looks like we might have a bit of a skirmish. Those heroes, they're going to find the Anirhar. Oh, actually not looking for it, backing off. And we do have the cataplates, I might be saying them wrong, out here, heroes as well. Oh, and there's a very big call. There's the chaos. You can see how strong it is. Look at that.
And the units are just massing in directly in, and after that chaos, his army is decimated. The Carnivoria drops right after the shockwave, and we see massive decay. And this management of the army, he is completely off guard. Loki is getting wiped right now. The Mountain Giant is taking care of a few of the hero units that are going in the middle of the fight. We do see a raid on the back line against that Sky Passage where those units are brought back to safety, but we're seeing immense value out of the Trema, just hitting these units in the front line. Counter units are doing great. See a wipe, a complete wipe. This is a big win here for Galorys, and they're pushing into that middle base, looking to see if they can get any more. Walking Woods comes on the back line, attacking some of those infantry units in the back here right now, but the main bulk of the army is pushing directly into that middle base here right now. We see massive amounts of units coming in, more Hersers, but effectively he is not going to be able to win this trade. We see Galorys taking this win, and now he's going to get the reward pushing into that center base.
Yeah, what a great push. I love the use of the Carnivoria near some buildings because they do absolutely clap houses, and this could be really, really bad for Smart. If he loses this forward base, there goes all of his production, there goes all of his population space in the houses. This is looking really bad. Gotta pull the villagers. Really nice push from Galorys, and this is where I have to question, why didn't we see more of an aggressive move once we aged up to heroic? We had that 30-40 second window where we had the advantage of god powers, but you can see how strong that chaos was. Just completely wipes the army. That's why I think it's the best god power in the game. That fight wasn't even close, despite a very similar military count going into it.
We see these units pressuring these gatherers and dwarves right now, getting massacred one by one as they get to their town center. And one last thing to note on that last engagement, was it really worth sending your raiding cavalry up for a raid up north towards that positioned area where the food was already gone? He could have used those raiding cavalry effectively to hit that back line with the Walking Woods to be able to possibly turn the side of the fight. Those 10 cal could have made a difference, but needless to say, he's lost a ton of villagers in this push. And looks like the sentry tower's about to fall and more are going to die to the bloodshed.
Yeah, and these heavy Contarius, man, these things are strong. Just tanking every tower shot. Nothing going to stop them. This Atlantean army is huge. And I gotta say, Jay, you mentioned beforehand you're glad we had not a top 20 matchup, because what you had said is that these top players surrender immediately when they think they're done. But Smart not giving up. He says, I'm going to still be able to win this game despite that push. He's going to keep trying. Is he going to be able to defend this town center, though?
It looks like he has effective amount of units to be able to counter this. The Carnivore is going to do his best attempt to 1v20 bestow unit and go after that town center. But needless to say, that God Power is actually underrated in our tier list. After casting a few games with it, I do think it has immense value compared to what we originally thought. But you see, I have to say hats off to Smart. You're still fighting in this game. You still think you have a win condition. I have to say hats off, and I'm very excited to see what you might pull out.
Yeah, and we do see
another engagement happen.
Oh, another chaos.
Another chaos in the backline as these units kill one another. The cavalry sweeps in, cleaning out these confused-ass soldiers in a walking woods to be able to counteract that. Going to defend the dwarven line that has his gold secured, but unfortunately isn't going to be enough. I don't think so. I think we still have enough mass to be able to take care of this. We see a good knockback here from the battle board, but I don't think he's effectively going to be able to fight anybody. These Cav are just going to be able to walk out of the fight and take another fight when they're ready.
I gotta say, that's what Loki's looking for. That battle boar spawn from the Herser fighting, that actually just saved that fight. The huge knockback that battle boar pulled off. That's what you need as Loki. You need well-timed RNG with your myth units coming out, and that battle boar alone just saved this game for him, because it was looking really dire. But the battle boar comes out, it kicks out all those Carntarius, keeps the game alive for a little bit longer. But man, the chaos, dude, chaos. Such a good God Power. Even getting the second cast, only 70 favor for the third cast. This God Power is ridiculous.
It is absolutely ridiculous. Immense power for her heroic age God Power. Let's go to a full screen of the whole map to see where this positioning is going on with the villagers. It looks like they're still sticking on this goal line, and we take an engagement here. The throwing axemen are going to be able to take down a few of these units, but I don't think he's effectively going to be able to take out much more than that. The walking woods are returning into the fight, hitting the back line of the units. It looks like we're just going to kite down and take out as many of these throwing axemen down as we can. And effectively, Galorys is going to let his units die here from the looks of it to be able to wipe out as many as he can. It looks like an even trade for the most part. Let's see what is in store after this engagement.
Yeah, huge props to Smart, I gotta say, because this game was looking dire, but look at this, he's pushing back, he's maintaining his position, he lost all that infrastructure, he almost lost his town center, but not giving up, and I'm kind of rooting for him. I'm kind of rooting for Smart here, not giving up on this game, keep fighting it out, but we'll see how this plays out right here.
And we have another engagement where Smart is rushing his inventory directly onto those walking woods trees, and throwing axemen are going to get caught out as the cavalry is able to catch up, do some damage, but he's not fully committing yet. I wonder if he's just looking to wipe out what he can effectively without engaging full. However, it looks like he's going to push through with the cavalry back onto those throwing axemen. We see an even trade across both sides, but it looks like Galorys is going to be able to take Galorys, is going to be able to take out more units here. Wow, it looks like he might actually get the wipe, and I wonder what Smart is going to be able to do about this. He just lost another huge fight.
I was going to say, where are the herdmen with all this cavalry? We need to get those herdmen out to counter it, but look at this. No food, no villagers on food. He's got 30 on wood, so a little bit of miss macro here from Smart, and that's going to call it. He realizes without the food supply and without the time to shift villagers to food, no available hunt or anything nearby, he's all on wood. That's why he's making throwing axemen, but throwing axemen can't take care of this army, man. The Terma, the Carntarius, these things are way too strong. I was rooting for him. I was hoping for the comeback, but at the end of the day, he didn't have quite enough to get his way back into this game.
But I will say, hats off to him. You didn't surrender right on the first initial loss. You continue to find a way to stall the game out, look for a win condition. You played effective for the most part when it came to that after your first initial loss in the middle of the map. Hats off. Fun game to cast.
Yeah, that was a really fun one. And you could even look at this. This is probably the most split post-game scoreboard that we've seen. Of course, there's a bug in the spectator. This is actually Smart score, not mine. But I don't think I've seen a 3-4 split like this in a single game that we cast. It was really all over the place on this game.
Yeah, that's a really good place to note. And, I mean, throughout the game, it looked like the scores were relatively within one another. So, it was a good game, very balanced.
Yeah, and I think this is the story of the game right here. This is the resource value for Smart, military resource value, and this is right where that first chaos came in, and look at that, just decimated his entire army. That thing needs a nerf. I'm calling it right now. Chaos is way too overpowered. That God Power is ridiculous. The fact you can keep casting it throughout the game, all you have to do to generate favor is have your oracles stand somewhere. I think we need to see some nerfs to Chaos, man. That's just way too powerful.
It is. It is. But you know what? Wonderful game. I think we got a real treat out of another skilled Atlantean player showing what they can do. And you know what, Loki? I mean, Smart, you might be a master of Loki, but you need to learn how to play against Atlanteans, my friend.
Yeah, agreed. But I will say, I want to cast another smart game. I want to see another one. I liked how he fought to the bitter end there. We only saw the one battle boar, I think, get spawned, so maybe the RNG actually wasn't in his favor. I haven't played enough low-key to know how much to expect for myth unit spawns at this point, but maybe was expecting a bit more, and I think the crucial mistake here was just not transitioning to farms, not having food to get herdmen out, but, really great game here from Galorys. Exciting to see some high-level Oranos play. I do love the Sky Passage usage. I think that shows alone why Oranos is a really good pick right now, and really, really fun game to cast. Jay, any final thoughts here?
No, I think you summed it up really well. It was a fantastic game, and we're off to the next one.
Sounds good. Thanks everyone for watching.